What's going on, everybody? It's Frito for Your Overwatch, back again for part 2 of my complete hero counter and synergy guide. Keeping in mind, the word counter is normally used inappropriately in Overwatch. Actually, a lot of times there's fair fights, but I use it just as a point of reference for the title alone. In the video, I will treat everything as strong against and weak against. It isn't as simple as pick this character, counter the opposing team, and win easily. There's always going to be some interplay in each matchup. If you missed the first part of this, you can click on your screen now and it'll take you to episode 1 where I covered all the offensive heroes. Today, we're looking at all the defensive heroes, starting out with Bastion. Bastion has the highest DPS potential in the game, but that doesn't make him OP, everyone. In fact, he's not that viable when you know his weaknesses. Other than being strong against the uninitiated Overwatch players, the robot's biggest strength is against tanks and their barriers. Bastion makes short work of Reinhardt's shield, Winston's barrier, as well as tank HP and anybody else's HP who dares walk in his line of fire without properly countering him. Bastion's biggest weakness is his immobility, making for ranged siege damage from outside his effective range and sightline, or a flank to split his attention to be the best course of action to dispatch of Johnny 5. Genji is the most obvious answer, as he can flank Bastion's position and at worst cause a split fight, or, better yet, bait Bastion to shoot him and deflect back a deadly amount of damage. If he's distracted, a Roadhog hook can take him out of turret form. If there's no shield in front of him, quickly peeking and firing with Hanzo or Widow at range can force him to move, if not take him down. D.Va is the only tank advised to directly breach a Bastion setup, as she can fly into their death ball with defense matrix up, absorbing infinite damage for 2 seconds, allowing time for her team to set up. This is a harder play to make in practice, but it can work. Alternatively, Mei can quickly peek and ice wall right in front of Bastion, allowing time for her team to gain ground. Junkrat can spam at Bastion if he can find a good angle outside of Bastion's sightline, and Winston, though technically weak against Bastion, can be used to quickly leap behind a setup, splitting the attention of the group and cleaving into them, and at the very least, taking out the accompanying Mercy and doing damage to the Reinhardt. And if Winston gets his ultimate, he can knock a Bastion setup about, if not directly the Bastion, but the Reinhardt shield and Mercy that surrounds him. Bastion needs a Reinhardt like peanut butter needs jelly. Without a Reinhardt, Bastion doesn't play the same, and will be exposed to all manner of death. Bastion's reliable hit scan DPS can optimize the boost of Mercy and Discord Orb of Zenyatta. The ultimates of Reinhardt and Zarya can also set up Bastion to wipe the enemy team in tank mode. Hanzo is an incredibly niche character at present and is picked far more often than he is viable in publics, and is on the bottom of the list in usage at the highest levels of play. However, he is seeing slightly more usage by the pros after the Widowmaker nerf. Hanzo can perform very well against the enemy team if they're either immobile or tank heavy and slow. This means Hanzo is strong against turrets at range and enemy death balls behind Reinhardt shields. Surprisingly, after the Widowmaker nerf, Hanzo is actually fairly reliable at killing Widow. As Widow scopes up to shoot, she moves very slowly and stands straight up as if to present her head confidently for Hanzo to hit. Hanzo's arrow hitbox is far more forgiving than Widow's scoped shot, and unless Widow hits a headshot of her own, her newly nerfed slow body shot time to kill gives Hanzo plenty of time to dodge and take a few goes at her head. Also, remember, Widow's quickscoping was nerfed, so she can't reliably strafe between shots either. Last, getting value out of his recon arrow can propel his value to the team immensely. Capturing the first point on Hollywood is where Hanzo shines on attack at present. The area is so small that he is bound to get a lot of value with his recon arrow, and there's often slow-moving or immobile defending characters for him to hit. In practice, Hanzo is weak to every hero, as often his damage output is 0 if you keep missing, and 0 damage output doesn't need a counter. But if you're dealing with a Hanzo having a godly game that is destroying you, Genji is a good pick. Genji can get in a prolonged battle with him, at worst making him uncomfortable and distracting him, and at best dodges every arrow, deflects some back, dashes faster than he can react, and shurikens him down. Tracer can work against a bad Hanzo, but keep in mind, a great Hanzo will be able to track your simple horizontal movement and put an arrow in your head as you close in to your lethal range. This makes for Genji's double jumping and superior range being a preferred pick. Winston can throw his HP at Hanzo and eat a few arrows, and Hanzo's best solution is running away up walls, which Winston's 6-second cooldown for leap doesn't mind at all. If Roadhog is in range to hook Hanzo, he's mincemeat. McCree will own him up close, just as he does any other low HP hero he stuns, and his hit scans can prove to be more reliable with headshots at range. Zarya's shields can help her close the distance on Hanzo, and if she blocks an arrow with them, she will get a ton of charge. Zenyatta is actually very capable of dealing with Hanzo if your aim is good. Zen's orbs are more accurate and reliable than Hanzo's arrows, and most Hanzos seem to think Zen should be easy to kill even though he only has 50 HP less than you. Zen can discord and charge his right click in preparation of a fast peeking Hanzo and burst at his head, or simply win a spam battle with consistent accurate left clicks. D.Va can fly at him with defense matrix up, quickly finding him in her effective range. As long as there are enough heroes for Hanzo to hit reliably on the other team, he is a massive medium range damage dealer, so he needs the proper support to prop him up. A combo of Reinhardt, Mercy is always good for ground-based DPS, but characters that immobilize targets with crowd control work well too. Those would be a combination of Mei, McCree, and Roadhog. Hanzo's ultimate can do massive damage, but it's hard to hit as the enemy team can hear it coming. Comboing it with Zarya's Graviton Surge or Reinhardt's Earth Shatter can guarantee value and potentially wipe the enemy team. Junkrat is a viable hero at all levels of play. Lower skilled players can find his ability to spam and set up traps a way to deal consistent damage while staying out of harm's way, which might be easier than other heroes who take more direct aim to provide value to the team. But Junkrat is also masterable at the highest levels of play, where a player the caliber of Seagull can hit a running Tracer in stride with an arced grenade. If you're skilled enough, you could theoretically use his concussion mine to fly into the air and kill Pharah, but I'll speak about his strengths in terms of what I'd expect one to achieve most reliably. Junkrat, similar to Hanzo, is strong against slow-moving or immobile enemy team comps as he can spam into their death balls and turrets. As a Reinhardt and squad make a methodical advance, Junkrat can spam into their general direction, while being behind cover and deal good DPS to Rein's shield, but also dealing any splash damage to heroes who can't evade the volley of grenades coming their way. Junkrat is also capable of getting into positions to spam down stationary defense like Bastion and Torbjorn, if he can find a safe angle to lob grenades from. Junkrat struggles against targets he can't reliably hit. Pharah is too high, Tracer is too fast, Widow is often too far. They all should be favored versus him, assuming they dodge the incoming barrage of nades. Roadhog can eat a nade or two if needed and live to tell the tale, hooking and bursting Junkrat down in the process. Junkrat can utilize the push mitigation of Mei, who either slows enemies making them easier to hit, or wall off a section of them to trap them into receiving his nades. Between Mei's walls and Junkrat's traps, a fight can be reliably handled on your terms. Junkrat synergizes within his own death ball as well to protect him, so the usual suspects of Reinhardt, Lucio, and Mercy work well. Lucio's speed boost can mitigate Junkrat's slow mobility, and Mercy's damage boost helps spread the love his splash damage nades want so desperately to give. And note this, Mercy is a better combo here than Zenyatta because Zen's orb is better for the team focusing down one target, whereas Junkrat prefers Mercy, who buffs only him but will affect the various targets he'll hit with splash damage. And although Zarya's Graviton Surge is typically advised to be comboed with most area of effect ultimates, Junkrat's Riptire is fast enough to jump in and destroy the enemy team before they can react without needing much help. So you may opt to not combo it, but instead utilize the wall hacks of Widow or the recon arrows of Hanzo to find openings in the enemy team to exploit with Riptire. Mei is pesky and annoying, but in truth has limited power. In fights, her biggest strength is to trick players into thinking she's a threat worth focusing, then hiding away in ice block, wasting your time and likely giving her teammates an opportunity to finish you. Though she can freeze and insta-kill low HP characters caught out of position, that aspect of her game is countered by proper teamwork and positioning, and with that, her value drops tremendously. Pound for pound, Mei does have strong matchups, however. Genji, unlike Tracer, can only dash once, and his Reflect can't stop her Freeze Ray, so he drops easily to Mei. Bastion and Torbjorn can find their setups nullified by ice walls, or perhaps use the walls as an ice bridge for her friends to reach a flank route. Mei is weak against the ranged firepower of Widowmaker or Pharah. However, her real counter is teamwork. Mei is horribly inefficient in fair team fights, and if you coordinate well, she'll struggle to complete a freeze kill, and if she's reduced to her icicle shooting at range, there's far more deadly characters you could be playing against. In general, Mei is weak against tanks, as even if she completely freezes one, she'll struggle to kill you before you're unfrozen. Mei synergizes with damage dealers such as Widow and Junkrat, who will appreciate her efforts to shape the battlefield as well as set up combatants for easy focus fire. Also, she can help protect Torb and Symmetra turrets from getting overwhelmed by splitting enemy teams with ice walls. Mei's ultimate might seem like a good ult to set up another damage dealing ult, but actually it's so slow in effect and the freeze is so powerful that if it actually lands, it's probably best in most situations to hold your other ultimates and clean up the frozen enemies with basic attacks. A smaller synergy she has is with Hanzo's recon arrows or Widow's wall hacks, which can help timing an ice wall to properly split the opposing team at an opportune moment, allowing you to focus down a few heroes while the rest of the enemy team is stuck behind an ice wall. If Torb gets going, he can be a strong component of a team. Most obviously on defense, if his turret can deny space from flanking Tracers or demand attention from flying Pharahs, Torb is a strong pick. Tracer's low HP isn't as much of a weakness versus human players who can miss shots, but Torb's turret doesn't miss, making it nullify a backline Tracer. Though Pharah can counter the turret at range, the turret requires her attention, forcing her to play back more than she might like to. At the very least, Torb may count as one of the necessary hit scan characters to deal with a strong Pharah. Otherwise, Torb's Rivet Gun has good damage output in both firing modes, but his low mobility makes it hard for him to shine as a star player and is easily focused down, at least on PC. On console, Torb is considered massively overpowered and is getting a nerf soon. Genji can cross Torb's turret sightline unscathed and damage it from afar. Watch out for his shotgun though. Pharah, Junkrat, and Widowmaker can all damage the turret outside of the turret's auto lock-on range. Mei can damage it at range, but also can put a wall in front to make space for her team to move in. Last but not least, D.Va can fly in with Defense Matrix, land unscathed, and eat a turret alive with her strong close-range damage. Torbjorn synergizes with Symmetra, who can also cut off a small section of the map with her sentries, but perhaps more importantly, the two snowball after a few successful fights, giving the team armor and a teleporter. He also fits in well with defensive setups that can utilize his immobile power to fortify an area, synergizing well with Reinhardt, Bastion, Junkrat, Mei, or a sniper. Widowmaker has seen a drop in production after getting hit by the nerf hammer, but an amazing player can still get use of her strong, long-range pickoffs, and a lower-skilled player can still make use of her ability to take vantage points and lob shots into stationary defense such as Bastion and Torbjorn. If an enemy Pharah is overwhelming your team, a Widow dedicated to denying her airspace is one of the strongest answers. However, with the body shot nerf and Pharah's mobility, making it hard for Widow to land headshots on her, Pharah has the edge in a straight up 1 versus 1, as her rockets will throw off the Widow's aim. And of course, Widowmaker is strong against an opposing team's Widow, which will cause the two snipers to have to respect each other's presence, while the rest of the players more or less fight in a separate 5v5 until one of the Widows wins. Widow is uniquely adept at picking off backline supports by taking cheeky angles with her grappling hook, as their attention is likely focusing on staying safe from the main frontline attack. Widow is a lot weaker now with the body shot nerf, which opened up the ability of aggressive heroes to close in on Widowmaker if she can't can't find their heads. Genji's constant jumping and Tracer's blinking will test the Widow's reflexes and her patience. At worst, these flanking maneuvers will cause Widow's positioning to be disrupted and drastically reduce her damage per second output. A Widow whose scope is frantically chasing a Tracer in her face isn't picking off heads from the main attack. So even delaying her attention can be a benefit even if you can't confirm the kill. The highly mobile tanks can do this as well. Winston is the best option at the moment, as his auto-aim, powerful leap, and run speed while shooting can outpace Widow's retreat, and D.Va's ability to fly in with Defense Matrix can displace a Widow even if she is slower than Winston at chasing her down. And of course, the bane of a Widow who just wants to easily pick off unsuspecting targets on the main attack is another Widowmaker challenging her. Hanzo does pretty well against her as well. For a longer explanation of that, skip to the Hanzo section of this video. Timestamps are in the description. I should also note, Widow is weak against the Reinhardt Death Ball. If Widow can't successfully use her hook shot to take angles and scope heads, her nerf damage is a massive hindrance to the team if she is reduced to shooting into a Reinhardt shield, which may make a Junkrat or Pharah a better pick for cracking the shield. When you do find yourself shooting a Rein shield, you're better off using the unscoped Widow's Kiss in assault mode, as it will do 130 DPS with no fall off at range and allow you to keep on the move, staying aware of incoming threats. A good Widowmaker is flexible enough to synergize with lots of heroes. Reinhardt's shield can crawl up with her to challenge sight lines, protecting her from damage. Mercy's damage boost can relive her former pre-nerf damage output glory, and can fly up to the high ground with Widow, unlike other supports. Tracer can make good on finishing targets afar that Widow injures, as well as hunt down opposing Widows who'd rather be sniping you. Zenyatta's orbs can get a lot of value out of her reliable hit scan connections, and his Harmony Orb can keep up with her as she hooks into new positions that would be too far for Lucio to climb. Widow's ult synergizes with heroes that maximize the surprise attack factor, and may reveal openings for Junkrat's Riptire, Pharah's Barrage, Reaper's Death Blossom, and your team's flankers to exploit. Keeping in mind, at the time of recording, the playtest realm is hosting a patch that announces Widow's ult to the entire map, which may make these surprise attacks a bit more difficult to unleash. Well guys, we got through all the defensive heroes. Please leave me a comment below on your opinions on this stuff. I love reading and engaging with you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It definitely helps us out. That's been it for today. I've been Frito for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.